Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Microsoft Fabric User Group, and I'm your host, Pragati Jain. Today, I'm very excited about our today's session because we are going to talk about what's new in Power BI visuals. And today, our special guest is Zoe Douglas, and she is a feature product manager at Microsoft, working on Power BI reports and the visuals. She loves adding new features to Power BI to make all of our life easier. So, without waiting any further, I'm going to invite Zoe to the stage.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
Zoe. How are you?
I am good. Thanks for hosting me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to always have you at the user group because I'm sure everyone here loves to know about what's new in the product, what's new coming up, and hopefully we'll get to see some sneak peek from you on what new
Yes.
things are going to come. So I think the stage is yours, Zoe. I'm going to just share your screen, and yeah, good luck.
Awesome.
I'm quite
Thank you so
excited.
much. Thank you so much. So the timing of this one was kind of interesting for Gotti, right? So I pushed this one out. We had it closer to the May release, and then I didn't realize we'd actually pushed it into build week, right? So so then I had to quickly get up to speed with some of the build stuff, and I'll share some of that with you. We had a couple of really cool things announced at build. Which I'm sure people I've seen the commentary on LinkedIn and people are very like, oh no, what is the future for reporting and everything like that with with Brayfin and with the kind of Fabric apps. And also we also have some new stuff coming for report authoring with agentic kind of skills as well. And so that one's still coming in the June release, but the other one is out today. So I wanted to quickly point you to some of the build resources you can see if you're interested in some of these things. And then we'll get into kind of the roadmap, kind of what's ready to ship. And I'll do some kind of demos in desktop of kind of the newer features that we just came out with, and maybe a sneak peek of some of the stuff that's coming in June and beyond. So first,
can't wait for it, Zoe. Then
I
I will
know.
leave you here. So I'm sure everyone is going to be very interactive in this session. So yeah, good luck. I'll be in the background just watching out the comments. And yeah, I might come up in between of the session.
Sounds
But
good.
yeah, good luck.
Sounds good. I can see the comment section now. That helps. So first, you may have noticed we moved, obviously, our blog over to the community forums, which is quite nice, actually, to have it kind of combined. So now I actually see if people message me here, and I can see if people have responded to any of my posts. But you'll see we have down here, we have the kind of the build announcement Sujata has put out. Right. And so that talks about the two things that just were kind of announced at build, which is the Cadence agent skills for kind of Power BI. So we already had the modeling MCP, and now we're bringing in kind of the report creation one with kind of the Copilot CLI that will kind of work with PBIP. This is coming out in the June release. Now, beyond, like, you're like, yeah, Zoe, we could always kind of play with the PBIP with these skills and Copilot and AI. But I think one of the things that I want to talk about this announcement is it's not just that. We actually made it so that it can actually interact a bit more with Power BI desktop, right? So when you have it open up in desktop, you can type it in the command line. You don't have to reload the report every time. It'll actually reload the report right in desktop and show you the changes. And it can also take screenshots of kind of what's happening in desktop and get an idea. So it can create a page and then kind of take that screenshot, bring it back, and make adjustments based off what it sees, which is actually quite a neat kind of development cycle. I was playing around with it a little bit this morning. I have access to it already. It's not out just yet, but it's really cool because it has that kind of capability. So what really is cool about it is that you can take that and really have that kind of interactive session with it, which is the kind of beauty of Power BI. You think about it. You bring in the data, you're building this report, you see the report, you see how the data is flowing, you see the calculations in the visuals, and kind of bringing that to it as well. The other one, of course, is the Fabric apps. And this is that kind of, they're called Rayfin. We have the CLI. You heard it if you were watching kind of the keynote on that build. I watched a little bit of it. And they talk about this. And really, this is taking... Like, we have custom visuals in Power BI, right? You can do those today with AI, and you can really build them really fast. Like, I've done some videos previously on that and about having the ability to do these custom visuals. And it's really cool, and it's amazingly fast now with AI. This is taking that kind of to the next level and doing like a whole app. And what is it well, you can do that now, right? You can do that today, but then you can host it in Fabric. And also you can hook it up to data coming from a semantic model, right? So that's kind of a really cool paradigm. So nothing really new in kind of what it's doing, but how it's doing it. Just like with the kind of Fabric, with the agentic skills, it's not really about what it's doing. We could do that with Copilot. It's how it's doing it with Copilot, really bringing it to the kind of next level. So I am looking forward to seeing what people have created and what people do with this. Of course, we are always using AI to help us build faster in product as well. If you want to look at more demos about these, I'm going to put these links into the chat. I don't think I can put it in the chat. I can't put it in the chat. Anyway, so Pragati, maybe you may find the things I can't.
You can put it on a private chat. If you see on the right, there's a private chat section, Zoe. You can put those links there, and then I can
perfect.
Yes. Put it in the comment section. Thank you.
I didn't link my YouTube to it. Sorry. So then we have this one, and then we have a session. This session also has a demo kind of that. So if you're interested in, wait, those links? I'm not sure.
I don't see them as links in the chat. Yeah, they just came up as text. Yeah.
I don't know why. Anyway, so, but those are the names. You can go search for the build site and find those there. I don't know. I'm copying the link, but it's not pasting in. All right. So that's kind of, if you want to get some more information about those two things. And really, the point of it is AI is an amazing tool that you can use to get your job done. Just like Power BI Desktop is an amazing tool to get your job done, and Power BI in general, right? And taking all these things together to kind of bring them all together and have that kind of cohesive, all these tools available to you to get these things. Like you could build a data app and bring data into it from kind of a semantic model before. You can do it in like a notebook. You can do it in all kinds of things. So it's just kind of bringing that to the next level, which is kind of really cool. I also have one. Let's see if I have it here. I'm just going to bring this over to the screen for I find it. I did get also one slide that I wanted to share with you from Build, right? So this is something that they shared at Build too. Okay, so how does it work with, Fabric apps can be built on semantic models. So what does that mean for Power BI reports, right? So it's an interactive BI canvas for analysts, and then the custom web apps for developers, right? These are the Fabric apps are full like web applications, not like a report. They're a web application, right? It's a completely different, not like when we think about like the use cases, you have use cases for both. And so kind of bringing that together and then both working together with the data in the one lake and on top of those semantic models. All right, so that was what I got from Build. I'm sure, I think, Pragati, you said that your regular co-host is there. He'll have many more updates to bring from when he comes back from Build as well. Okay, so let's talk about the roadmap. Right, so we have a bunch of stuff coming for Power BI reports. So I'm working on primarily Power BI reports and the visuals, the core visuals inside there, and bringing those improvements to you that we've been long waiting for. So we have a bunch in the roadmap. I add actually a couple more things here, but I want to call out some stuff that's coming soon. Right, so we have the tooltip options are coming. Right, so this is going to bring you kind of more granular access to like what is shown in that tooltip, and also bringing the shape map to general availability, right? So if you've been holding off on the shape map, you don't have to anymore. Bringing in scroll options, right? So a lot of times you're going to have the, like when you bring in a report and it's like a date access and you have a categorical date, so you have a month name instead of the month as a date, right? You can bring it as a date, and I can show you how to do that. Where it can keep it continuous. But if you want to have those discrete kind of months always showing, then it goes categorical. And you have the scroll bar, except it scrolls ascending. And so when you first open the report, you're showing historical data, not the current data. So what we're planning on doing is adding in some options for where the scroll bar is going to start. So instead of on the left by default, we can actually say go to the right. And so then when you load the report, it's always going to show that most recent data. And then you can scroll back to kind of see the historical, right? So that's coming. Another one with integrate with Fabric a bit better is having the OneLake file URLs, right? So right now you can use URLs in images, you can use them in you're going to measure display images, or even in map visuals, you can have that experience, but they have to be kind of public URLs, right? But we have in OneLake, you can put any file and you can link to it and have it be a secure experience, right? So you have to authenticate and do all that. And so bringing this support where it'll authenticate through what you're logged in at. So if you're a consumer, you click on it, it will open up that OneLake file URL and authenticate with your credentials, and you'll be able to kind of view it in the Power BI report, right? You could always have a link and then go through and it pops the authentication. But this way you can actually display it within the report without any kind of issues. Previously, we just kind of break the link and we couldn't authenticate. We're going to bring that to you as well, right? So that really, like, now you can make sure when you're sharing things in the report, you have the ability to kind of do it in a nice, secure way and make sure it is not publicly available as well. The date picker slicer. So we have a slicer. It's going to be on the regular slicer. It's going to be one of the options. We have the drop down and the list and the between slicers, and you have the relative date and time. We're going to bring in this date picker option, and that is going to pretty much bring all of the cool things you wanted to do with the date slicing into kind of one unified experience. You can do manual ranges, you can do slider, you can do a single date on a single calendar, you can do a range on a single calendar, and you can also set up relative. And then not only for authors, you get to kind of have this full experience, but also for the consumers. Not only that, but it's no longer relative date only. Yes, you can set a default date, and you can set a default relative date, and you can set it so that it's aware of the data in the date column, right? Currently, our relative date slicer is only anchored on today. You're like, that's great, but I need it to be like the last 5 days or the last month based off of the last date my data came in. And you can do that with this one. So we can say last 1 month from the last date in the data and publish it. And then now your consumers, your users can actually change to different relative option or go to a manual, do a slider, however they want to look at their date range, they can still do that. But then they can reset the report back to kind of the published default. It'll go back to kind of that relative range. You can also...
one thing that came up on this date picker slicer, Zoe. So I think Dean is asking, can we also set a default date?
Yeah, so it is not like, so yes and no, right? So you can pick it as, you can anchor it kind of in a way that you would want to. Let me show you maybe kind of what I mean here. I think I have, let's see if I can show you a sneak peek of this. So I'm in the June one here. So here I have kind of my dates, right? And I have my range. And then I can come in here, and if I bring in my slicer, where's my slicer? There's my slicer. Right, and I'll bring in my date, and I'm going to change this to the date picker. Right, so we have the new date picker. It's kind of what it looks like. We have a slider experience. You'll notice first also, it's using your format. Right now, mine's formatted terribly. But if I change it, right, so I come here and I change it to, let's do this one. Right, I'll come back in here, and now you'll see it's going to continue to use that. So if you have your locale setting, right, we just brought in that locale setting for reports, right? If you have a locale, you can have it format and display however you like. It will do so also in the slicer. You can go ahead and just kind of set these ranges. We also made it so you can grab this part, not that part, let's see, this part, and I can move the slider this way, right? So a lot of cool things like that. But the beauty is this thing, right? So now we come in, we can select a single date, we can select a full range. And I think this is monthly data, so I might have to go one more month out. Okay, actually, let me go back to January and then go to March and hit apply. Right, and so now I can set that. But I can also do relative, and the relative can be based off the day, last date, or first date in the column. So if I set this as last date, and then I say put a measure in the format pane on this visual, right? So if I say this one, but I only want to see the last date where there is profit, and then you say it's not blank, and apply it. Now that last date is going to show the last date that actually had profit in it, right? So I think this one is a full data set, so it's not that exciting. But if you had one that has kind of different ranges, then you would have that ability to kind of put that date in. So,
wow, that's exciting. I hope it answers Dean's question. We actually have another question on this, Zoe, the date picker. I think it's something many have been waiting for. So there's another question from Zubiz, and the question is: will the date picker be able to set something like week to date, month to date plus a date range?
Month to date. So you can do. So we have the same options we had before, right? So you could do like this week, this month, this thing, and it's going to be based off of kind of the calendar kind of a static thing. It's not going to be like you can pick like week to date or month to date, those kind of things. You would still be limited to kind of what we have now, but we're looking for feedback on kind of what more do you want in that one. So this is really good. The one thing we also added is an offset, right? So if you wanted to kind of offset by have this last week offset by 2 weeks or go forward 2 weeks, you can do that. If it ends up in a range, it's data aware. If it ends up in something where it's no longer has any data, it's going to go ahead and display that. So, but yeah, so you'll have to, we don't have a way, we're looking at ways to kind of pick it, like, how do we bring it in so you can specify any kind of arbitrary range you like? But we don't have that one just yet, but that's something that we're looking into as well for the slicers. But for this one, we just have the relative and the manual options.
Thank you, Zoe.
Okay, so that's kind of the date picker. It's coming soon. You have a lot of formatting options with this thing as well, and kind of brings you into kind of that. Yeah, so that we have a feature looking at bringing in so you can customize the start of the week. Right now, it's I think Sunday. It's one of the it's the same one that we had for the relative one. So if we come in, I bring in. Do I have day of week?
I think Zoe, you heard one of the audience comments. I don't know if you.
I did. I see it. Yeah, I see it there.
I think you already saw it. Yeah, because it was the same time. It was in the comments that can be changed when does the week start, Monday or Sunday. Yeah.
Exactly. So here we can have. I think we have. So if I go to relative and I say this 1 week. So say this 1 week, right? So this is not exciting. So let's go back a week. Offset by 1 week. Oh, other way. Oh, I have the. Let's see. This last week. Somehow. Oh, it's the other way. Sorry. Minus. Wrong way. Okay, I just upset it somehow. But the idea is that you would have, I think it's the same as what we have now, right? We are going to bring in an option to let you pick the start of the week at some point, but not with this initial release.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the date picker. Then we have a direct query support for editing models in the service. I just saw that there. So we don't have that right now. We'll have that soon. And then another one we're bringing in that's kind of exciting is the conditional formatting for lines and series labels in Power BI. Right, so right now, if you have like a line or if you have anything with a legend, really, you're not really able to conditionally format the color of that line anymore. So it'd be really odd. So we want to bring in a way for you to actually just set that. So if you had a specific color for the certain categories or like for each country or for each segment or whatever that you wanted to color, you could actually bring it in this way, like bringing the conditional formatting, just like you would before. We also have some other ones coming in to kind of make it so you can fill up that space a little bit better and giving a little bit more layout options as well. The list slicer, still in preview. We're looking to GA that and bring a drop-down mode, right? So that's that kind of full flexibility of the kind of drop-down with all the formatting options and stuff like that. So, and then the Gantt chart, right? So we're working hard on a new visual in Power BI, and that is the Gantt chart. So this one we're making some really good progress on. I still don't have anything to kind of show just yet other than the custom visual that I had previously built and I put out there for feedback. And if people had any kind of idea, any questions, or I had some customers try it out and then provide feedback for it. So, but that one is kind of a new core visual that we're building to have that kind of Gantt chart and kind of capability within Power BI without having to do like some workarounds with like the tables or bars.
So yeah, I think we have got another question regarding the date.
I know the date ticket is an exciting one.
I was like, I think we need to take that because it's kind of quite hot, I guess, right now. So yeah, the question comes from Triparna Ray. Can we set the default date as dynamic one, like on the date of viewing the report, rather than static one from the date that is selected when the report is published?
Yeah, so when you set the relative range, that would be kind of the default date, right? And so you can specify the rules around that, whether it's the last days from that report, like last date from that range, or first date, or from today. And then you can specify any offset you'd like, all of those kind of things. So those are kind of how those are set up. And then once you set it up that way, they're not locked into that relative kind of experience. They can break out and do whatever they like. But that's how you would set up that kind of dynamic date, is with those kind of relative ranges there. And then you can put and then I was able to not only do last date based off of the date range, but also based off of kind of a measure calculation, right? So if you had some DAX that would specify this is the date I want to show, you can still put that on the filter in your visual and put it on that slicer. And then the last date would be also governed by that dynamic calculation. So yes, you can do it with the new date picker. And then anytime the report is refreshed or viewed, it would recalculate basically and say, oh, okay, based off of the data I have now, or based off, you can even have it do it like by user principal name, like so-and-so is looking at this report. They're going to see this date first, right? You can get really creative with that kind of that DAX to kind of really figure out exactly how you want to flag which date is the last date. And then you can set up that relative range to capture the initial state of that slicer. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Zoe. I think that answers. Triparna, let us know if you need any more, if that answers your question or not. There's another one that has come through. The question comes from Fernando Calero. Can the date slicer show today's date as default?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's always a kind of a core capability of our relative date, and that's still there. So yes, 100%.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm not sure if this question is relevant to this, but yeah, there's one question that comes from Muhammad Umar Malik. Why do we really need a schedule bar chart on an analytical report anyways?
Oh, you're saying why do we even need like the Gantt chart at all?
Muhammad, can you please add additional comments there? I mean, is it what you are looking for? Maybe so. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on his comment.
Right, keep an eye on that one. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure. Yeah, because we don't have a schedule bar.
Can you please add more to it? I'll come back.
But for the Gantt chart, it's definitely one of the things people have been asking for. It's really great to kind of, if you're looking at like, if you're doing kind of a project and you're looking to see kind of which project is doing well, which project's not, and you want to then drill into kind of, well, what's happened with this project? A Gantt chart is kind of a natural way to kind of look at what's happening and do some analytics on it, right? So the Gantt chart analytics include like resource conflicts and slippage and seeing your dependencies and all that kind of stuff, right? So bringing that in kind of with your other data as well, or maybe you start with kind of that aspect and then kind of drilling into the tasks and kind of seeing what's happening. I've also seen people wanting to do it for kind of other situations, not kind of the historical kind of project management kind of Gantt chart view, but also kind of using it in interesting ways, such as like looking at like the tickets and who's assigned to what and making sure there's no conflicts on kind of tickets coming in or ADO items, or looking at, I had one gentleman come and talk to me at FabCon about kind of looking at, in a hospital, kind of looking at the resource planning for like doctors and operating rooms, and it's making sure that things are looking well. And so having kind of a visual way to show that was kind of really cool way of kind of using the Gantt chart. So it's not really just for, a single purpose, but you can use it kind of in different ways as well. And so we want to bring in some flexibility and analytics on top of that, really around project management, but you can do it kind of for any kind of situation where you're kind of managing a process, or you're managing conflicting resources, or something where you have to kind of stagger things out. We want to make it so a lot of people like use it for kind of logs and like seeing kind of how things played out, where was the biggest time spent, right? So you can even do it to display kind of what has happened instead of what will happen. There's a lot of really cool applications for it. So I had a lot of customers come and reach out and like say, hey, this is kind of what I'm using it for. This is kind of the problems we're having either with the custom visual already out there by Microsoft, or looking at my custom visual, or even other people's custom visuals. There's a ton of custom visuals out there, right? Exactly. So yeah, great feedback on that one. Yeah, so looking forward to kind of seeing what you guys end up doing with that visual as well. And then the modern visual, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you again. There's one more on the date picker. Fernando is asking again. If we have a date selector with the beginning and end date, can the end date always show today's date as default? This means that I don't want the report filtered for today, but as the ending date.
I see. So you want kind of a static beginning date, but then have it move forward as you go through. So this one I'm trying to think, like if you have a kind of relative range, right? And then you kind of had it kind of dynamically limited in the filter, right? You could do it kind of that way, but you want a way to kind of break out from it. So this one is probably one of the more complicated ones where we want to take this scenario. So this scenario specifically is something we want to build in future. I don't have the roadmap right now, but we're looking at ways to kind of have more control over the default selection of any slicer, not just a date, but any slicer, and have it kind of be able to kind of unselect and go to a placeholder, pick the next one in the list, or run some logic to figure out what it should be doing next, right? So I think this one would also be kind of a way to do that as well. Now, for the relative one here, could actually probably be used in your case, right? If you wanted to set a kind of way for it to select the entire range, but the entire range is already kind of limited, you could probably do that today as well with not today, but with the new date picker as well. So there is definitely ways you could get it to do it, but I think what you're asking for is definitely the more kind of just, I want to drop this as my default selection. As things change, it always changes back to this default selection. But yeah.
Thanks, Zoe. And there's one comment that has come from Jain, is that more options for slicer defaults would be good.
Exactly. We don't want to just only focus on dates. We want to bring it more holistically, including dates, numeric and text, all of those things. Especially those of you, we hear the feedback about like with row level security, you want to have a selection, but you don't want the selection to be so sticky. So having a way to, because kind of right now we have selections are really, in Power BI, they are sticky, right? So you set it, and if it drops, if it's no longer valid, it still stays selected. We're having a way to kind of release that and then do something else, either whether it's just park it or whether it's to select something else or do some other action based off of kind of where you want to go with it. So it gives you kind of that control, especially for those of you who it comes up a lot when you have reports that are tailored to a certain person or they're directs, right? And they come into the page, they want always to be selected on that person, but it's going to be different for every single person that comes to the report. So how do you make sure it's selected, right? So we hear that feedback. We're definitely looking for kind of a solution that will meet that need as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Zoe.
I see one other question. Maybe, Pragati, you can put it, the report created without an organizational theme. Is it possible to extract the JSON of this report to implement that design into new reports? So I think here, if the report doesn't have a custom theme to extract, it's using the base theme, right? So the default theme, that's the whole premise of the modern visual defaults, which I should have had in here for GA, but I don't, so I'll add that in today. But I have the modern visual defaults is going to come GA soon as well. And so that's a new kind of base theme. Now, we don't expose that. So that has like a lot of, it's like a almost very comprehensive list of things that we did on the visuals. And if you wanted to kind of find it and modify it, in the PVIP, the base theme JSON is there available for you to look at. So you can go find it. Now, you change it in the PVIP. We don't pay attention to anything you did there. We still do what we want. But it is a way for you to at least see all of those options set. And then you can make changes, or you can use that to kind of help LLM to just do a single change that then you can apply in a custom theme as well, right? So we have those coming as well, where we're going to make it a lot easier also to author custom themes in Power BI, like in the native UI, right? You can do the JSON, you can have Copilot help you, all those good things. But sometimes I just want to play with it. I wanted to see it in action. And so we're taking that. So right now you can do that with opening a dialog, and you set it, you hit apply, the dialog closes, and you can see the change in your report. But it's missing some critical stuff like the padding and like some stuff that is probably more common to want to set. The border thickness, I think, was missing as well. Anyway, so we had a few of them. So we're bringing them in, and we're also putting it in the format pane, which means that you can now just open up and make changes and see it live and scroll through your pages and make a whole bunch of changes to that custom theme and stay where you're at, no longer losing context of where you're at. And also bringing in some color palettes so you can have some customization around padding, around the borders, around the rounded corners, around the subtitle, title formatting. And then you can say, okay, well, let's look at this in a different color theme and have a bunch of palettes to kind of pick from. So those are all coming too. So the organizational theme is really just a custom theme that is shared widely, right? So the organizational theme is something your tenant admin can add in a bunch of stuff that then when you open up desktop, you're logged in, and then you can go and you see it in that kind of theme drop down, and you can say, okay, well, there's some organization themes. So this is someone has taken the effort to get the JSON. When you bring that into your report, you can download it and you can modify it. You can customize it. It's yours at that point. If you want to go back to whatever they've published, you just click it again, wipes out all your customizations and brings you back to the core organizational theme. But it is really just a prepackaged custom theme that's shared widely. So if it doesn't have any custom theme, then it's using our default, which is the base theme, and we do share that with you. Hope that answers your question. I'm sorry, I got a little winded there. And speaking of organizational themes, we are planning on GAing those by the end of the year. So right now they're in preview. You have to turn them on and set it up. Another one we have related to this is also the add to preset. So when you're creating custom themes, one of the cool things about custom themes is they have the ability to do style presets, right? So style presets show up in all your visuals once they're set up in the JSON file. Let me see if I can show you what that looks like here, right? So if I come back, we added in a bunch on the new modern visual default, right? So here, if I come to this visual, I have this option to do a style preset. This option just shows up automatically if you have any style presets in your theme JSON file, right? So if you have them in your custom theme, I put some in the base theme, so they're always available when you're in the Modern Visual Defaults and in the Fluent 2 theme. And then you have the abilities to kind of basically package a bunch of formatting you've done on the visual into kind of a one-click action, which is really a time saver. But a lot of times this is going kind of this way. You came from a theme to the visual, which is great. But if you want to take the stuff you've already sat there and formatted your visual to the way you like it, and now you want to put it into the custom theme, that's what the add to preset will do. So it'll take everything you've done here and kind of put it into a named style in your custom theme. So then you go to another bar chart, you go to another column chart, line chart, you can export the theme, put it in another report, and they're all available for you. So it's just the same as if you're using Excel, you had the template of a chart, and then you would create another chart, and then you apply the template, exact same idea, and then making it so that you can basically save that template as to add to the style preset, right? So that will take it to kind of the next kind of level there. Like we have more on the line charts here. We added in with the data label, so it turns off the axes, adds the markers, adds the label in one click. We can do straight line, you can do data labels with straight line, and then you can just add your own. So the idea was that then I would format this how I like, and then I would simply add it here, and then it would just show up in this drop down. So that would kind of take it to kind of the next one there. All right, so I see a question in there about analytics based off weekly and monthly data. Are we able to default date slicers to current week, month, rather than having to use a calendar dim link to the dates? What's the best practice, right? So there's a lot of really good best practices around dates with weekly and monthly. Now, if you happen to have kind of a weekly or just a regular kind of calendar month or a regular weekly, and you don't mind it starting on the Sunday or Monday, or whichever it is that we do, then you're in luck, right? So you can have it definitely just do it in the slicer without having to create a full calendar table and specify your weeks and months. It is best practice to do kind of, if you have any deviation for kind of that default, you can have the auto daytime intelligence, which does some basic kind of breakdown for you on all the date columns. But if you wanted to really get into kind of having exactly the segmentation you want, and also bringing in the ability to do, say, monthly data as a date, which means you don't have to sort it, then you can also do like a date table. You might want to check out the custom calendars. So we have another ability for it to kind of tag. If you have kind of the columns in there to say this is my week, this is this column, and then you can do kind of, there are some new DAX functions that do kind of week over week calculations if you have specified in your date table what is your week column, so it knows where to kind of calculate it based off of, right? So those are kind of some of the best practices around there. I'm going to do, with the date slicer, I'm going to do kind of I think I'm doing a blog kind of getting into kind of all the options you have now, because we have actually released quite a few options around dates and kind of how you utilize it in not only the semantic model, but in the report, right? How do you get the report to do what you like, and kind of pointing to some of those resources. So hopefully, so look for that. Hopefully that will help as well. But so like here, the one I wanted to show you here, so I'm doing this one by month name. Of course, this is aggregating years in the background. So if I bring in, so here you can see they're broken down, I can have the years behind. But I had to have this month is a text. So it will always do alphabetically unless I sort it by something else. So here I have the month, and I have set it to sort by the month number. But alternatively, what I could do is also do this monthly field. And so what this monthly field is going to make it continuous. And I can make it go, if I come into my excess, I can specify this to be categorical, or I can set it to be continuous. But it's always going to have the right sort order and all of that. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger here, right? So now you can see we have those ones specified. And you can format it how you like. But really what this is the first day of the month. And I have this one actually up on my blog as well, but it is simply the first date of the month. I have it as a separate column, sorry. So here it just takes that date and says, just make it the year, the month, and then the first day. And so that way, all of the kind of columns in here will show. So instead of having a text, I can show it as a date, which is automatically ordered in the correct way. Right. So those are some options you have as well. Yeah, so there are a ton of, yes, I'll need to update that documentation for the reporting side. But there's also a ton of resources out there, different date tables and different ways of doing it in M, doing it in DAX, doing it in the source, all of those kind of things. So. A data source question.
Yeah. I think there are two questions. Yeah, we can take I think Muhammad is asking, is your data source a Excel or through Excerpts or MS Project files? Can the visual have direct query option to MS Project P6?
I don't. So that's more of a. I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. We support a ton of connectors, but I'm not sure if that one is one of them, right? So the data integration team manages the Power Query kind of interface, which has all of the connectors you can bring into Power BI. But yeah, I don't think we have a direct query option to like MS Project, or I don't even know what P6 is. Do you know what P6 is?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. That's
okay. So I would check. But yeah, if you don't see one already, then probably not. But yeah, you can request those things. But this data source that I'm using right now is actually just a DAX calculated table. So you can use Excel, you can use SQL, you can use any fabric, right? All of this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ways. Hundreds of ways to get data. So all of that is definitely available to you.
And there's one more that has come from Malik. Is there an option to sort by month name? I always end up creating a month number calc and sort all access by it.
Yeah, so that's a great question, right? So that's really getting into just what I was saying here, right? So you can do in your date table, right? Instead of creating the text, you can literally just create a column that is already still a date, and then you can format it. So here this is just literally the first day. So for every day in that month, I have a separate column that's showing the first day of that month. And the reason why I do that, so then they'll all group into one day. And the way I display it is kind of formatting it. So the format, the way it's displayed, just drops the first date. And so it just looks like July 2026. And I don't have to sort this by anything. Now, if you are doing it by text here, so here I have a text column. Let me show it actually here. It's probably a little easier to see. So here, if I do the month as text, you do also have to do the companion column for the month number of the year. So if you're doing it with month year, then you have to sort by something that is at that grain, which is the monthly column I actually have here. Or you do it with text, or do it with numeric, right? A numeric form over here of this monthly column is the kind of 4-year, 2-year month, and that'll sort correctly by default. And then they probably ran into a problem. You're like, I did that. I created a calculated column and to have the proper sort order. And then I tried to add it to sort by column, right? So I went and said, okay, let's sort by column. But then it said, oh, I have a circular reference because your calculated column was probably referencing your date, your month column, your text monthly column. So there are a couple ways to get around that, right? So one of them that I did here is I'm using kind of the add columns here to add them in separately. So they're not technically bound, they're not dependent on each other, right? So it's not dependent to calculate to know the value of that first calculated. So having it kind of this way, then they're kind of independently calculated, and then you can use that sort by. So you don't have to bring it in as an axis into the visual itself. Absolutely not. So you would, the best way to do it is to make sure it's sorted correctly in the sort by column on the model. And then you just bring in the column and it sorts correctly. You don't have to worry about anything else. It just knows that's its default sort order. So if you do ascending, descending, it's in the proper format. But that's why I started doing kind of this new way where I have this kind of monthly column where instead of going through the rigmarole of splitting it out as text and then another column to split it out by number and then sorting by, you can do it this way and then simply just change how it's displayed. And this gives you, so if I do it as a date, you see it's like, it's going to be that one, the 1st of July. But you can always change how it's displayed in the visuals up here, and it's consistent across the report. And not only can you do it, hold on, maybe it doesn't do it on this side. I thought it did it there, but it doesn't. So here you come in and you can just type in kind of any, I don't know why it's not working for me. It's because the demo guides are not with me. Anyway, I'll show you how to do it in the model view because you can do it there too. Here I have my monthly column and you can change this to custom and you can type in kind of however you want it to display, right? So here I did the 3-letter M for the month name in short form plus that. And then that way it's automatically sorted the way you want. You don't have to bring in another axis control. You don't have to sort anything like that in the visual itself. You really want to bring that to the model and make sure the model is doing the right thing. And then the visuals will all obey that. So hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Zoe. Definitely helps.
Okay. Primavera. Okay. And then, yeah. So another thing, I wanted to switch topics just a smidgen. I think we're coming up almost on time and then I'll just do straight Q&A. But I wanted to show something that I wanted to bring a little bit. If you're using a kind of field parameters. So if I have a field parameter, like here I have a field parameter controlling all the measures in my visuals, right? So I can change all these visuals to show it by units or by sales without having to create duplicative versions of the report. I also have up here, I can have, the card visual now has kind of a clickable ability to it. So if it has a category, you can also filter. But what if I wanted, but the field parameter I can also create to do by categories. So say if I wanted to change this pie chart or this bar chart to always show a different kind of ability here, right? So I'm going to delete this guy for a second. I'm going to bring this up. And let's go ahead and create kind of a dimension kind of field parameter. So to do that, we go to modeling and say new field parameter. And we'll say this is our, so we show by and then group by, right? So we have a group by kind of option. And here in my financials table, maybe I want to bring in product and I want to bring in the discount band or maybe the segment. And I think I have a country in here somewhere. There it is. Right. So I can add that to my model, to my page. And I'm going to change this to a button slicer. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and format it over. Now, if I was a nice person and had already built the add to preset, I could have grabbed the preset and then just set it over. But anyway, this is great. So now I can have this. Now it's not doing anything yet. So if I come here and I put my group by here instead of country, now I can not only change the bar, but I can also change the grouping by on that bar chart, right? And I can do that across all these visuals. But now what if I want to bring in a slicer to pick different parts inside of this So if I wanted to say have a slicer to pick again out of these, how do I do that? You can do it. So you can paste in, just copy that slicer. Now in the field well here, you have this option at the bottom. It's called show values of selected field. So now you can kind of do that. And what it's going to do is instead of showing what you want to group by, now you actually have the ability to have a slicer here. So I'm going to go ahead and force this one to not do single select. So now, why are you not? So now if I pick a different one, it's going to actually release that and bring in the first one of the next one as well, right? So you can see have these abilities as well. Nothing is wanting to work for me today, but that's fine. Let's go change you to a different slicer. There we go. And I'm going to make you into the vertical list and change you to the list styling. And now I should be able to do my selection options and turn off the multi-select. There you go. So now we have the ability to select multiple within, but it's going to change based off of kind of what I've selected here. So you can have this kind of tandem experience with your field parameters to kind of show one dimension and then show the options of another dimension. So I wanted to kind of share that one. Pragati, did you know about this one? I didn't know about this one until recently.
No, I didn't. As we were having a backstage discussion, so I'm really trying to get up to speed again.
It's true, but I think this one seems like it was kind of newer. Maybe I missed it, but I liked it. I was like, I want to show this off at the live stream today. So.
And I think there are so many things in Power BI which has been there forever, but
exactly.
But when you go on working on it, and you're like, oh gosh, I didn't know about it. And when you ask, like, oh, this has been there forever. So it's like a surprise moment every time.
Exactly. So I wanted to kind of show like how you can really, you can make these kind of, obviously this is just one step closer to personalize this visual, right? So if you turn on personalize this visual, this gives your consumers kind of a very structured way to kind of customize visuals on the page and have different options. But you can also turn on personalized visual and then hook up like a perspective and have a limited view of kind of the fields that they have. And then they can, when they're viewing the report, they can actually change the type of chart. They can change what is shown in the chart and all that kind of stuff. So those are the personalized visuals is kind of one thing. And then beyond that, we also have obviously the Explore feature, which goes even further than that. And you can then kind of just play around in a single dialogue, right? So you have really a lot of experiences to help you kind of, not only from like an author experience, but from a consumer experience, kind of get in and kind of really tailor things to where you need them. So, all right.
There's one question in the chat. I think, so this comes from Maria Ines. I use field parameters with metric a lot. Will you bring in the list slicer release the possibility to format it as the new KPI card? For example, one box can have multiple labels and divider.
I see. You want similar to kind of the card visual almost. Multiple labels and divider. So you're talking about kind of this one because the button slicer, new KPI. So you mean this is a new card? We don't have a new KPI card, but this is basically like a KPI card. Yes. Right. So you want kind of this experience, but with kind of the list slicer. So not really on the plans, unfortunately. The list slicer and button slicer are very similar. You can bring in, let me bring in kind of a more basic version of this. Let me just, I'm going to delete that one. And if I bring in, let me go back to this one. I think this one has one actually already. It does not. Right, so if I have Let's just remove this guy for a second. We bring in the list slicer, not the slicer, the button slicer, which is very similar to list slicer, or the list slicer itself. Let's actually start with, well, let's just do this one and then I'll show you. So we have we have this highlight label, right? So highlight label will show, and you can do by, let's see, let's do it by, say, segment, right? So you can see that value on there. And then if you come over to here, you can have kind of labels. Let's see, we can have a custom label as well. So you can have additional kind of ways of doing things here. There's a lot of different kind of ways you can add in certain things. Let's see the label. Where'd my label go? Turn it back on and turn it back to the label. So that's that highlight value, right? So, but we don't have capability to bring in kind of the reference labels, right? So here we have the call out, which is same as kind of the label, and you have these kind of reference labels here. We don't have that ability kind of in the button slicer. And the button slicer and the list slicer are closer to than the card visual and a button slicer. So if I change this one to a list slicer, you've lost that. We don't have the highlight label, but you can come back in and now set it up as that label, right? So here, if I bring back sales, you bring it in here, you have that kind of ability there to have the number as well. But you won't have ability to kind of, so you can, if you have a single DAX, right, a single like line where you've specified like, and then you can bring in on that label, it can be any DAX. So you can say like, this is a number, and then bring in the year over year, and you can build it like you could previously. You can still show that in kind of a list slicer, and that would come in the drop down mode. But we don't have like the full like drag and drop experience with like reference labels that you do in the card visual. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Zoe.
Okay. All right, some more discussion on the date stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of one of the things. The other one I wanted to kind of see if we have. I think we're at time now, Pragati. But this has been really great. I hope this has been helpful to you, and looking forward to the June release that's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah, I think this was really a good session. I mean, I think there was one more. There were a few comments that we got, like Fernanda said, Zoe rocks. Yeah, Zoe rocks. I mean, she brings so much amazing stuff to Power BI. So, and then we had another question from Fernanda that came up. In a line chart with months in x-axis, could we add a trend? Now only it accepts numeric values in x-axis to add it.
We have on the line chart, let's see. So, I see, like when you have, like just when you have it by category, right, you can bring in kind of the trend line. But if you have it with, like, say, the month name, let's see, oops, there it is. Right, you can still bring, and you don't have that trend line option anymore, right? So that's kind of, I think, what you're kind of getting at. You want that kind of trend line for this one, so in that case, it's kind of another reason why to kind of have that almost that monthly date column or some numeric date version of this, because then you can bring in that trend line without having it to be numeric. It can look numeric, but it can look like text, like what I did with this one, but then it actually gives you that ability. So it's kind of one of those things where that trend line is looking for specific conditions to be met, and one of them is a continuous kind of axis. So if you bring in that column now for the monthly, then right now you can actually have that kind of trend line ability also brought in. So hopefully that helps. Again, it's one of the cases where the date table makes your reporting life a lot easier. And so definitely lean on it as much as possible, because it makes building these visuals a lot easier when you have those kind of things in your date table. So.
Of course, there have been few more comments. Maria, thank you very much. Very helpful. Dean, thank you, Zoe and Pragati. Lots of good stuff. And that's not even mentioning my...
I know. I forgot to mention that one. Yes. Don't forget your status landing page.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things as well.
I'm so happy to bring that to product.
Yeah, I think many of us just loved it. The way when it was announced. And then again, as Athursa says, thank you, Zoe.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all your questions. And yeah, so looking forward to bringing all these features soon.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Zoe. I mean, this was a great session. As I said in the background, I really want this session. I want to just know what's coming up in the past, what I missed in the last few months. So yeah, so much. And especially, I have seen so much love for Date Picker, so many questions. I hope you can take some feedback back, what some of them were asking. So yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things we want to do there. Yeah. A lot. I know we won't get them all in the first go, but give us some time. We'll get them in there for you.
Yeah, but I think everyone can put their ideas on Fabric ideas. If you have more ideas around what Zoe has shown, just go and put your comment there, what feature you want. I think that's the best place you can reach out to product team, because they pick up all those upcoming items on the roadmap from there. That's where they pick up the boxes. So definitely go and do that. And thank you so much, Zoe, for your time. I know it's so hard to get time from you guys, but thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your knowledge with our audience. So thanks everyone. And yeah, hopefully this session was really helpful and we all got some insight, and Zoe was quite kind enough to give us some sneak peek on some of the new things that have been coming up and the team has been working. So yeah, stay tuned, stay connected, stay healthy from whichever part of the world you're joining. So thank you everyone and have a great time. We'll see you in the next session. We'll bring something new for you. Thanks everyone.